Hi guys, it's Sasha and welcome to my YouTube channel, Sasha Gibbs, She's Type Wonderful, a channel aimed at increasing awareness about type 1 diabetes. I do this by showing you some of the things I do on a day-to-day basis to manage life with such a chronic illness. I also address topics such as diet, exercise, mental health issues, and so many other topics. So if you are new here, thank you so much for choosing this channel. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. Now, since starting this channel, I have talked to so many people, and in those conversations, I have come to realize that many people do not know that there are different types of diabetes, much less to know the differences that exist between them. So in my video today, I will be talking about the differences between type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes, and I will also be talking about some of the less known types of diabetes as well. So I hope that you will enjoy this video and let's get into it.
This time, this is my fight song. Take back my life song.
So hi guys, so first thing, let's talk about cause. In type 1 diabetes, the body's pancreas is attacked by an autoimmune reaction where the beta cells of the pancreas are destroyed. The beta cells of the pancreas are what is used to produce insulin, the hormone that is used to break down the food we eat into glucose so that the body can get energy. By contrast, in type 2 diabetes, it is not an autoimmune reaction. The body's pancreas still works, it's still able to produce insulin. However, it's a case where it either does not produce enough insulin or the insulin that the pancreas produces is not able to be readily absorbed and used by the body. So let's talk about onset. In type 1 diabetes, the onset is pretty rapid. It can occur over a few weeks and result in acute ketoacidosis. I shared my own type 1 diagnosis story and I included the link so you can go ahead and check the video out. In type 2 diabetes, the process is usually more gradual and can occur over a few years. Another difference is the copathology at the time of the diagnosis. With type 1 diabetes, there may be a lot of ketone bodies found in the blood, and this is because with the pancreas being unable to produce insulin, the body still needs energy. With the body being unable to break down the food that we eat into glucose, the body turns to the next best source, which happens to be fat. And when the fat is broken down, a byproduct of the fat is ketones, which leads to ketoacidosis. By contrast, when diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, the most common copathology is that of high cholesterol and high blood pressure. Another difference is age of diagnosis. In type 1 diabetes, the diagnosis usually occurs in childhood and adolescence. For myself personally, that was not the case. I was diagnosed in my early 20s. By contrast, type 2 diabetes is usually diagnosed over the age of 40. This changes as time goes on because we are now finding that a lot of persons are actually being diagnosed before the age of 40. There are also differences with risk factors. Scientists, they don't really know what causes type 1 diabetes, and it's not caused by sugar, as some people think. It's not caused by eating sugar. They really don't know what causes type 1 diabetes. It's thought to be an autoimmune reaction where the body attacks itself. It's thought to be a combination of environmental factors, stress, or an illness, things like that. But there is no one thing that they can identify which actually leads to type 1 diabetes. For type 2 diabetes, the cause is still unknown, but is thought to be related to your age, your weight, genetics, and the level of your physical activity. The estimated percentage of occurrence is another difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Of the number of people diagnosed with diabetes, only about 5 to 10% of those people are actually diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So type 1 diabetics are actually rare, and I can tell you that it's there's nothing nicer than recognizing another type 1. It has happened to me on 2 occasions. I met another type 1 diabetic at my daughter's school, and I also met another type 1 diabetic at my son's football game. I haven't had the chance to meet another type 1 diabetic, but meeting another type 1 diabetic, it's always a nice experience for me. Type 2 diabetics, on the other hand, about 90 to 95% of all the people diagnosed with diabetes are actually diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Another difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes is insulin dependency. Type 1 diabetics they require insulin for their entire life. For example, I am a type 1 diabetic. If for some reason I could not have insulin, there's no other way to say it, I would die. Without insulin, I would die. So for type 2 diabetes, insulin administration is not required. I must say nothing is absolute. While doing my research, I did find that there are some individuals with type 2 diabetes who actually have to use insulin, and I was surprised to find this out. But it does happen. However, oral medicines are usually what is required for type 2 diabetes. So, how are we doing so far? So let's now talk about the other less well-known types of diabetes. It's not just type 1, it's not just type 2, there are other forms of diabetes that exist. There is pre-diabetes. There are individuals who go to their doctors, they may go to their doctor and they're told, listen, you are pre-diabetic. This means that you have some abnormal sugar levels. However, it's not to the level where you would be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. There is still time. With proper diet, with exercise, you are able to change that and not have a diagnosis of type 2. So if there is anyone watching this who's ever been told by their doctor that you are pre-diabetic, please pay attention to your diet. Try to incorporate some physical exercise because you do not want to be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. There is also gestational diabetes, which is diagnosed during pregnancy. Blood sugar levels usually return to normal once delivery has occurred. However, when you are diagnosed with gestational diabetes, you are now at a high risk. I can't talk today. When you are diagnosed with gestational diabetes, you are at a high risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So it's always good to pay greater attention to your diet, incorporate exercise into your lifestyle. I also came across 3 different types of diabetes that I did not know about at all, okay? And I wanted to talk about those as well. There is type 3C diabetes, which is caused by injury or disease in the pancreas. There may be the removal of the whole pancreas, pancreatic cancer, Cushing syndrome, cystic fibrosis, and this results in what is called type 3C diabetes. This one blew me away, neonatal diabetes, and this is actually diagnosed before the age of 6 months, and it's actually caused by a gene mutation. So there is a change in the gene, and it results in diabetes. I was kind of shocked by this one, actually. There is also LADA, latent autoimmune diabetes in adults. It's a slower developing form of type 1 diabetes, which doesn't need to be treated with insulin right away. So based on that, oftentimes it is misdiagnosed for type 2 diabetes. There is also MADI, and I also did not know about this one, maturity onset diabetes of the young. It is inherited, so it's caused by a gene mutation. So if a parent has the gene and they have a child, the child has a 50% chance of inheriting that gene. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you learned something from my video today. If you know about another form of diabetes that I did mention, please leave me a comment below. I would love to hear about it. So if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn the notification bell on so that as soon as I upload a video, you will be the first to know. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you for the next one. Bye!
Doesn't kill you, makes you strong.